So we already had a trail cam picture. We could just check the camera, and I could see how big his legs and body was. On a big track, and from where I am, I don't see tracks like. I was like, holy shit, look at this dude. And he's like, yeah, that's good deer. And I was like, no, get your camera over here. I put my foot inside, like, film this so I can show everybody back home. I'm like, wow. And then when he fed once in like a little hole, and there was a slope, so his head was here in a hole, and his antlers were probably 8 inches above his head. I said, dude, that's at 7 Point. I said, that's him. That was him that we followed that day. It got late, and we left off on his track a half hour before dark.
We left him right up where you shot him too, which is kind of cool. Yeah, he was right up in the steep, nasty, cliffed out mountainside. Yeah, is where he was hanging out that day. The day we followed him, and he was feeding all around these ferns and acorns and whatnot on this hillside. But then he ended up dropping down off, and it's like 4 o'clock. So like, screw, we'll just bail out of here now. And that's right where he shot him the next day or 2 days after, whatever it was.
Welcome to the Just Hunt Podcast.
All right. Welcome to the Just Hunt Podcast. It's episode 41. This is a cool one. It's you can tell it's a weekend evening one when we have these guys out. And you have a adult beverage with you, or is it just off frame?
I got moonshine. This has come out of Logan County, West Virginia.
Might know a guy.
As you guys can see, we got Johnny Stewart here, and we have Connor Schellong, man. And I wanted to get these two guys in because, twofold. They both had monster seasons. I think this is Connor's 11th monster season in a row. But and you guys did something cool is you both hunted with each other in different – Johnny, you came to New England, and Connor, you went to PA, and you both killed good bucks. And I thought that was really cool. And I think the thing I'd like to talk about is, your seasons, obviously, and then get into kind of what was very similar and what was different between the New England mountains and the PA mountains, because I feel like there's a lot of people in the PA mountains and a lot of people in the New England mountains that are, creating content and talking about mountain hunting and mountain bucks and stuff. And I think that not all areas are the same, and it's kind of cool to be able to break down different regions and identify some of the more subtle differences that can make you successful in the different areas. I don't think they all hunt the same, and you can the tactics just work across the board. So hoping to get into that tonight if you guys are into that.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Into that
I got all night.
Good. So Johnny, do you want to talk about your season? Because I just every time I looked up, you had killed another buck somewhere.
Yeah, I had a pretty successful season. But what's weird about hunting the way we hunt or I hunt, going into a season when you're hunting places that are challenging, wilderness, mountainous, public land, you really don't know what the season holds. Sometimes I get butterflies, am I even going to get a deer this year? Because we're hunting areas that are difficult, and we're hunting deer that are difficult, mature animals. So I don't care how prepared you are for a season, you're never prepared, I don't think. You can do all your scouting cameras, springtime scouting, and there's always a curveball. I mean, whether it's, there's a lot of factors like logging might change, herbicide sprays they do in my area, mass crop, ag pressure, everything. I mean, but anyways, going into my season, I run cameras solely for the first 2-3 weeks of the season. I feel for most places I hunt, we're looking at end of September into second week of October, May the 10th, 12th, 14th, to where I call that early season, and you can still kind of catch them in a summer pattern. And I think I run probably 45 to 50 cameras in maybe 3 or 4 states, and I don't run any cell cameras. It just takes the challenge away from me. I've come this far without those, so I'm kind of sticking with that. But all my cameras are that are soaking through the summer or whatever are focused on me hunting them first 2 weeks of the season, because I feel like then I'm going to get a transition of some sort into whether it's hunting pressure or breeding, scraping, stuff like that. But so yeah, I try hard to get my deer. I'd love to get my taxidermist said, you got to get me one early, so I try to get, he likes the capes, short hair and stuff like that. And
the taxidermist tells you, oh, yeah, I got you, bud.
Deal. I got you covered.
I feel like I got the hardest time getting that deer early. So, yeah, as I'm going into the season, usually around the end of September here, I hit Ohio early, and my spot that I had camera soaking for wasn't panning out. So and it's back to like you can never, like you're always scouting, even in season, like till I always talk about knowing enough and not hope hunting. Like I did a lot of hope hunting when I was young. Just you see a rubber, a scrape, and you just sit there and would hope, like please send a deer this way. I hope he comes, but there's way more to it. Know as much as you can. So yeah, all my cameras for early season. I think it was still like a struggle for me. I stick with, since I live near Pittsburgh, I kind of can hit Ohio, West Virginia, Maryland, PA, like within 5 hours. I can be hunting in those 3 or 4 states, and wherever my best chances when I start pulling cameras into September. And so Ohio started early, and before PA was the end of September. And like I said, I didn't have nothing, no meat on bone. I didn't have a buck. A lot of, if you're getting midnight photos, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, like after 4:00 a.m., I kind of just take all those photos, like, 8, 9 at night till 4 a.m. Remember, just inventory photos. You could just tell yourself the deer lives there. Chances are, he's not bedded there. He could be, but that's all it is, inventory photos. And that's all I had in my spot. So I, did some scouting and moved cameras, and so I was able to, it was pretty wild. So I found a spot where there was black oaks water. It was a hard hike, like a decent hike, about a mile to get into my spot in Ohio. And it had everything. It had cover, water, food, dropped 2 cameras, and I was getting like 130-inch 8-point that my cutoff for a deer that I want to shoot is like 135-inch.
Was that anywhere?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I mean, yeah, later in the season that might change, but that's my 135 and up's about where I look for. But I didn't have much on my cameras. I had like 138, went low 30s, and so that spot, and I run 2 cameras, and like I said, everything's there: food, water, cover. So you had to be careful hunting a spot like that because a lot of deer come to that area. So when you're going in and hunting, you're not just, you're hunting maybe a big deer, but you're spooking does, button buck spikes. It's like a chain reaction when they go back in the woods. If you spook a doe, it's kind of like they go back and somehow they tell that big buck, like, hey, don't go out there. They can't speak, but their body language, they know, the gig's up. But I was able to hunt that spot. I thought that 130 class deer was there, that 8, and that's the biggest one I had on camera. And so here's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how much time you want to spend on like each hunt. I mean, that would take an hour.
Yeah, I mean, just run us through, I guess, the high level of, like, obviously you did with that one. Did you kill that? Is that the deer you killed? That
was my first deer. October 17th. It was 145-inch 8-point.
Oh shit.
But I didn't have them. I had that 130-inch on camera, and I didn't even know that deer was there. But it felt good. It had everything I needed: food, water, cover, and it was hard to access. And he just showed up, and I shot him. And then my next deer was November, I think 13th or 14th. And it's all public land I hunt, so we plan a trip usually every year to North Dakota to hunt public land. And so I shot one there on November 17th at 8 yards with a bow, and the first one was a bow, and he's probably 14-point, probably maybe in a high 40s, mid-high 40s. I haven't scored him, but typical 12. And the deer out there kind of remind me a little bit of like New England area, it's farther north, and they have the big bodies, a lot of fat on them. And then it was fast forward. Like most of my bow hunting is up through the second week of November, push into the third week of November. And then I kind of get into gun hunting. So I had ended up doing gun season in West Virginia. The first day was November 24th. And we had some deer, decent bucks, lower elevation. And I hunted higher up. And it was a high pressure day, cold. For down there, it was like 40s, real feel of like 35. And I just knew they were going to, the acorns went up high or down low. That's where the mast was. And I just knew, I told my cameraman, I told Chris, I said, there's going to be a deer up here this afternoon. I just feel it. You know, I watched this bull, and it was 1:15. We looked up, and there he was. I shot that deer. So that was the third one. And then the fourth one is when I come up. Connor had come down for the first day of gun, which was right after Thanksgiving, and we were able to get him one. And the snow was kind of crunchy, and you know, I know from past years that the first week of deer hunting in PA, the bucks are really in tune with the hunting pressure, and they seem to disappear. So he got his the first day. We had some crunchy snow, nothing coming for a minute as far as snow, and I know the deer just kind of hunkered down that first week. So Connor said, "Hey, we got a storm coming. Why don't you come up my way?" So went up there with him, and I think I hunted 5 days, maybe 4 or 5 days, and shot that one up there with him on that last day. And then I headed to PA right after I left there, and I got back to PA, and I shot one there. So yeah, that was 5. And I probably should have 6 or 7, but you know, everybody would. I was in West Virginia hunting a big deer and muzzleloader, but I'm not used to muzzleloader hunting, and my powder was wet in my barrel. So like, had snow, and I got snow down a barrel. I didn't have tape over the barrel, and my buddy Bo Martonic was watching my story on Instagram. Like, so he called me one night. He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Dude, I just was shooting at this big buck. Like, he was standing there eating acorns at 100 yards or 120 yards for like." I went through 4 primers, blew the ball out of my thing. Then the powder was like mud. Got that out, cleaned it out, shot 2 or 3 more times at him. I had 3 powder charges, and my powder was damp, and it like pushed the ball out. You know, the sound slug. And that deer just, and then Bo's like, "Yeah, I saw your story. I meant to tell you. Maybe yesterday I meant to call you. Maybe you should like clean, put tape over your barrel or clean your powder." I was like,
"Thanks for the heads up,
dude. Thanks, bro."
Yeah,
you know,
2
I
things
was
on
cussing him out a little bit.
2 things on that. That's good advice from Bo. I use rifles because like when you're moving through like the mountains, like just even if you get like dirt or something in your barrel, I think it's a good idea to do not only with muzzleloaders but rifles. But the other thing with muzzleloaders that I always think is important is like if you're hunting and it's like super cold and you have tape over your barrel, try not to bring that thing inside and get all the condensation in there because it's going to build up all over, you know, inside and outside your barrel. Mm-hmm. Like I try to leave when I'm muzzle hunting my like gun in the truck over like outside overnight, you know. Like I think that's something that people could make a mistake on because like you hear that that's the worst, man, when like you have a weapon failure.
I should have like it was cold weather and it warmed up, and I should have just cleaned out the barrel every night, redid it every night, dried my powder, and I didn't. But sometimes I get that inline and I don't use it enough. I just think I got a rifle. I'm just going like I have a rifle. You know?
So can you shoot 2 bucks in West Virginia? Then
what's that?
You can shoot 2 bucks in West Virginia.
That county is a CWD county. It was allowed 3 bucks. I felt like a game.
Okay.
Oh, I'm like, are you like my buddy told me? He said you got a muzzleloader, a bow, and a gun tag. I'm like, yeah. He said you can shoot $3.
Wow.
Like, are you kidding me?
No restriction on them or anything at all?
Nope.
Can you shoot all 3 with your bow, or do you have to do it per season?
No, it's every tag. It's a bow tag, gun tag, inline tag, muzzle tag. So you have to buy that tag, and you're allowed to shoot a buck with each. And that's a buck tag. It's not even a doe tag.
Pretty wild. So $5.
When I shot my deer the first day of the rifle down there in West Virginia, my buddy, I was staying with him. He's like, "You bring your bow?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Why don't you go bow hunting tomorrow?" I was like, because I'm so used to like a state allowing you to shoot 1 buck, you know. And I'm like, so I went to a spot and all these rifle hunters are there, and in this parking lot, they're going up in the woods, and I scouted this spot 2 years ago, and I haven't been back. And I pulled my camera. So let's go check it. So I took my bow, and I had the same size deer, maybe 130, 125, 138, at 42 yards with my bow. It was the second day of gun, and he was standing there like quartering toward me. I said, if he gives me a legit broadside shot, I'm taking him, you know. But I thought for sure he was going to come toward me. And he went up the hill and he left. But I'm like, yeah. So I had some other opportunities, but I felt I'm just so used to a $1 steak. I'll have one. I said, are you serious? So
Yeah.
You were in them. Are you done now?
no, I mean maybe depending on the weather. I have a Maryland tag, and if I get some good weather, snow, and I almost shot one down there last week. And some people don't talk about it, but I made a rookie mistake, and I'm not perfect. Like even like I'm gonna put a film out shooting at that deer in West Virginia 4 times with a primer and blowing a barrel. I mean, like pushing with my ramrod the bullet out, and you know people are gonna comment, well, why don't you take care? Why don't you do this? Like I don't. This is reality. Like I'm not the best. Like I know deer a lot, but I'm not too. So there's places I can improve and stuff like that. But I'm going to show you what I actually do. You'd be like, boy, this guy's an idiot. You know what I mean? But when I was in Maryland here last week, snow, I was tracking, but I went to a spot and I pulled a card that I left in September. Someone stole my card, but it was kind of a leeward steep hill, and I was just kind of watching down there, and I saw a buck, maybe 135-inch 10, and I seen another. And he was feeding on a hillside, went down a steep hill, and I couldn't get a shot because he went out of sight. And there was another deer's body, like broadside. I couldn't see its head, but its body. We're talking 50, 60 yards. So there's a few deer there. My dumb ass is like, I got to go like 20 feet. If I go 20 feet, I get to see that buck. And so, but there's another deer standing there looking at me. Like just stop, you idiot. Just stop. It's like not, you got a lot of time. We got 3 hours of dark. The wind's perfect. Sometimes you do dumb stuff, you know, even though you are good at what we do, like we all make mistakes. And I tried sneaking to see this big deer, and that one and another 3 deer ran, and he ran, and there were so many tracks there, and I couldn't even but yeah, I do dumb shit, like, you know what I mean?
Just a little 5 seconds of
I think
being
we all
impatient.
do.
Yeah.
With how pressure it is in some of the spots you're hunting, how often are you getting stuff stolen out of your cameras, or the whole camera taken?
1 to 3 cameras a year people take, you know.
It's not that bad.
No, I think that's like on average for me, sometimes more, but right around that.
That's so frustrating when you want to go check a card and you get up there's no card in it.
Yeah, especially if it's like a long walk back in there.
Yeah, or it's been sitting there for a year.
That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
So Johnny, I'm just thinking here, and Connor and Matt, you can help me if I'm wrong. I don't know that there's really anybody else that's been like filming and putting content out there that's isn't from New England or the Northeast that's come here and killed a big deer.
I don't know of anybody.
Can you think of anybody?
No.
Because I can't.
I mean, John Lewis, that's New York.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's kind of like
John's
kind
like
of
John's a tweener.
tweener. Yeah.
That's a little bit, yeah. So that's
But
pretty
not
good,
many.
man. I don't know anybody that's come up here and killed a big deer. So that's pretty.
It's definitely
Yeah,
a
not just a
challenge.
good
I
deer,
mean,
like
for
a-
sure.
Freaking giant.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I don't track as much as you guys, my snow. But I mean, if you add up, I've always been fascinated with whitetails, and I remember even back home when I grew up in Pittsburgh, if there was snow, I'd just drive the roads and find tracks and follow deer and learn from them, and just picking up stuff along the way. But the one thing I did learn is like I went back. So I go up to an area with Connor, and it's like a pristine, fresh snow. There's not a human track, and you see all these big mountains and all this land. Like in your head, like, wow, I'm hunting deer that are like not like my deer at home, maybe not pressured. Look at all this land. They can get away. There's not as many hunters. But after about day 3, and like a couple cameras we checked, a lot of nocturnal stuff. And like after day 3 or 4, like I felt like claustrophobic. Like everywhere I go, I've seen human tracks. And I asked Connor, I said, I need to get away from people. Like, I'm not going to find what I want in these spots. And he gave me a couple places, and there was guys there. And like, I said, I know where I need to go. But it came full circle from what I've learned from deer and hunting pressure, where I grew up and how I grew up hunting. And I need to go where people aren't. And that helped, but it took a few days to see that. And I look at it like, yeah, you might only have a few hunters, but if they're tracking and they're covering 8-10 miles, that one hunter is just as bad as 20 hunters in the woods, like in an area like where I live, and they're posting or stand hunting or still hunting. So it's the same thing to me. So I went back into like being pressured, like pressured deer real fast.
Were you surprised at the number of people as you
It was insane in PA.
Oh, I'm talking in New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire. This
year
year
was pretty average. Would you
I think it was up a little bit more, like where he was, where he shot this buck. Normally, there's a couple of local guys that I know who hunt the area there, and like they're always in the area there. But like this year, he was seeing guys from New York up in there, and some other trucks around and cars around. Like, I don't know, cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, because I'm kind of surprised. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's pressure, but I would say compared to the places I've hunted, like I'd say New England pressure is pretty moderate for like.
Yeah.
Compared to like PA pressure. But it sounds like you were running into guys, which is like, dang.
Well, and even
I thought about it, like I said, they're covering more ground because there's less deer, so they have to get into animals. We have to go 6, 8, 10 miles. So it's equal to PA because they're going so far and chasing. Actually, I think tracking really stresses a deer out to be tracked, to be chased. That doesn't happen as much in PA, and I think it really, when they get that snow, and get a 6-8-year-old animal that's probably been tracked in the past, it really freaks them out. And that I sense that, and that helped me like make decisions on where I need to hunt.
Just to dive into that a little
Here
more.
we go.
That's him, but last year, I guess. So Connor and Johnny, you can give as much information as you feel comfortable, but I assume you found these sheds?
I found the set, yeah.
And that is the deer that you killed. Hey, was he a 7 when you killed him or an 8?
He was an 8 the year Johnny killed him this past year.
Okay. Was he just about a little bigger, same size?
I thought he's about the same besides the 8th point or the G3 on the other side, but once he shot him, like, holy smokes, he actually put on a lot of mass, a lot of the G2s are bigger.
He's bigger than this.
His brows are a little smaller, but I think his beams got longer and just more mass too all the way through, which is kind of surprising.
So just a mega mountain 8-pointer.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe put on 5-10 inches of horn from that year.
That's awesome.
And I believe he's at least 7 right there that year. So I'm guessing he's a minimum of 8 this year. Johnny killed him at least.
Look at those pedicles too. Those are mega.
Mm-hmm.
And like that bottom, how it flares out like that. Never seen anything like that.
This or the
down by like the bird area.
Yeah. What, just right here?
Yeah.
It's a heck. So did you? I'm just trying to understand like the. Did you know that this deer was where he was going? Or was it kind of like it was in the region and maybe you'd see that deer, but usually like what was the like I said, I'm not trying to
no doubt
give too much away. I'm just curious as to like because that's pretty crazy to go and kill a deer like that. I mean, that's a really special deer.
Yeah, so I've hunted this area for years now, and I've known of him for I think the first camera I stuck was 21 or 22, and I cut him then. And he would always show up, mid-October, late October time frame, and he'd be around in this area that had the one camera. He'd be in there for I don't know, a month or so throughout the season, then he'd just be gone late season. So I'm like, he's coming from miles away is what I assumed. Right. So I just kind of branched out, scouted a lot throughout the winter and spring. Never found his antlers until that year there. And I found a couple like bull systems down lower with a lot of feed the year I found those antlers. And I found a lot of sign going back towards these bigger mountains where there isn't any oaks back in there. I'm like, he's probably coming from that area, going down into this bull system where these oaks are, and going up on the ridge where my camera was, where there's more oak and whatnot. And found that set down in the bull system there. I found an older antler down in there as well from him. So he's got to be coming from the other end out in there, and that's where he shot him. Okay. It was up above, I don't know, eighth of a mile from I found those antlers.
An eighth of a mile?
And this past summer, actually, I never had velvet photos of all of them, and I actually scouted this backside of this range where he shot him. I'm like, this looks pretty good. And then I went up to the day before bow season opened last year. It just tore up with buck sign, big buck tracks around this area. So I'm like, this is a pretty good sign. So I stuck a camera in there, and I got some velvet, or one velvet picture, and then he shed out around that time frame, around bow season. And I jumped him up in that area September 30th, I think it was. Never saw him again until, I think, early October. He showed up in the area where Johnny shot him, which is probably a mile away from where I was bow hunting him early on.
Okay, cool. So how did it go? Did you hunt him were you on him just one day, or did you find his track a couple days, or how did the hunt go down, Johnny?
Well, Connor took me to a spot, like when he come to PA, I kind of put him in an area. And when I come, and he wanted me to come up there, and we planned it, and just so happened the snow was flying. He said, let's go up there. And so I'm going in blind. So I was thankful that he helped me, and he took me to a spot, and he had a couple days before he was going to Massachusetts. So I took my camera and he just filmed me. And we kind of went to spots that he had cameras. And
did you guys film this?
I didn't get I wasn't there the day he shot it, unfortunately.
All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
We had jumped a deer, and I'd actually missed one. I think it was 3 days prior.
Oh, really?
Maybe 130-inch 10 or 9 or somewhere in that high 20s, 30. We bumped him, and he kind of, I think he just heard us, didn't really see us. And he dropped down off his point, and then in them hemlocks, and then he went back up. So we're kind of on his track, and we didn't go far, maybe 150 yards, and in the deer started walking. So I was kind of looking ahead, and it's neat having, and I always say this, people say you take a guy with you to film, there's two guys, there's more scent, there's more movement. It's hard to, I think it's just an excuse people have that it's tougher to get a shot at deer because you have another human there. But I look at it now that I'm older, I look at it, I got a younger person with better ears, better eye. So we got 4 eyes, and I didn't see the corner. Said, look to my left, like the tracks are going up the hill. He said, look to the left, there's a deer. And so I looked to the left, and I seen it was a deer with horns, and the head was behind a tree, and he had a good film on him. And I took a shot, and clear miss. We were high-fiving, and we were all about ready to crack a beer. The way the deer ran away, I thought I hit him at 80 yards. Well, I switched from left. I shoot left-handed, but I switched right-handed. I needed like 2 foot. It helped me see more of his vitals because his head net was behind a tree, and I felt good about the shot, so I missed him, and we tried for another half mile or so, and nothing happened. But then we went, he knew a 7-point, and he had cameras kind of in the area. He said, let's check those, and we'll go from there. And a few of them were dead, but the one camera, he had them on camera maybe. It was probably, I think, mid-November and October.
Yeah, he was
pretty frequent. He was hitting a straight. And it wasn't like last December, the previous December, where he said he was in here a lot. The deer wasn't there from maybe mid-November till now December. He hasn't been on camera. So kind of Connor's thinking, like, who knows where he's at, correct? Like,
yeah, I was thinking he's 2 miles away up on this 4,000 footer somewhere, but he wasn't.
Yeah. And so I kind of looked at my Spartan Forge app, and I'm like, I said, like, just my instincts are like knowing. I said he's right. I think he's right here. Like I think he's still here. And so, anyways, we tracked another deer that day, and
we think it was him we tracked that
day.
We
bumped him
actually
a few times. And we kind of gave up on that deer. And so on the way back, kind of heading back toward the vehicle, we caught his tracks. And I so we already had a trail cam picture. We could just check the camera, and I could see how big his legs and body was. Caught a big track. And from where I am, I don't see tracks. Like, I was like, holy shit, look at this dude. And he's like, yeah, that's a good deer. And I was like, no, get your camera over here. I put my foot inside. Film this so I can get everybody back home. Wow. I'm like, wow. And then when he fed once in like a little hole, and there was a slope. So his head was here in a hole, and his antlers were probably, 8 inches above his head. I said, dude, that's at 7-point. I said, that's him. That was him that we followed that day. It got late, and we left off on his track a half hour before dark.
We left him right up where you shot him too, which is kind
really?
of cool. Yeah, he was right up in the steep, nasty, cliffed out mountainside.
Yeah.
Is where he was hanging out that day, the day we followed him, and he was feeding all around these ferns and acorns and whatnot up on this hillside. But then he ended up dropping down off, and it's like 4 o'clock. So like, screw, we'll just bail out of here now. And that's right where he shot him the next day or 2 days after.
So the best part of the story is, like, I left PA with Connor and drove north to New Hampshire, and I called Enterprise, and I had a car the next day I was supposed to get, right? So what day we get there? A Monday or Tuesday? I don't remember.
Yeah.
And like, okay, your car's reserved for 9 a.m. I said, well, let's at least hunt in the morning. And he's like, hey, it's getting close. We gotta go. I'm like, fuck that car. I said, I'm not worried about it. We got.
Yeah, I'll walk to get that car the next morning if I got it. He says.
So then I was like, I said, I'll call him. We'll get it after dark, right? So they were only open till 3. So we hunted that day till like 1 or 2. And he's like, we gotta go get the car. I'm like, F that car, dude. I don't care. Like, I'm not worried. Like, you know. So then the day after that was the day we got on that big buck track, and it was like walk. He said, hey, your car rental's only open till 3. We need to leave now. And we've just found that big buck track. I'm like, no, I'm not leaving. I don't give a shit. He said, well, tomorrow I'm going to Massachusetts. I don't care. I'll figure it out. Like, so the next day, so we followed that. Yeah, we backed out at dark on that big track. And the next day, I was at Connor's house, and he went to Massachusetts. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I'll figure it out. I'm not worried about it. And I couldn't get a ride or a taxi or something, so I just walked behind his house like a couple of miles, and hunted back there. And then I think finally, the day after that, we were able to get my car.
Which was a
and I had
minivan.
an SUV, a four-wheel drive SUV. And then by the time I got there, it was like, yeah, we got no four-wheel drive, so I got a two-wheel drive van.
They give you some nice summer tires too in the snow.
Yeah, it was like, it was like, well, we got all season tires on. I'm like,
yeah,
whatever. I said, it's my fault. They give my vehicle away, you know. So then, what I did that day when I got the vehicle, I think Connor had gone to Massachusetts, or no, he had some chores to do that day. I think with his deer and stuff. So I had gone to. I went back into for the 7-point, and I stayed low in elevation, and we had that 6-8 inches, and it was dead calm, and it was down in them softwoods, and there were some oaks, but you can only see 40, 50 yards. I just walked, blew the grunt call, and I put a few miles in there, and I never saw his track. Like, he never come down, you know? And so the next day, I was kind of like, and I seen guys were in there. And now this is when I'm starting to see pressure on these deer, because now the snow's been down 3 or so days.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to see tracks, even guys going up the road, jumping out, looking at tracks, and I could sense it like a deer. Like, I could sense how a deer is going to take the people tracking them. They're not going to take it lightly. It's just, man, this freaks them out, you know. So the next that night, you know, I asked Connor, so where can I go? I said, I just need to get away from people. Like, I can't do this, you know. And so he gave me 1 or 2 spots, and I went up these roads, and it was the same shit. Like, I don't care if it's 30 acres or it's 30 acres. When you pull into a spot and you see guys parking and going in the woods, human tracks in and out, that's enough for me to like, man, I got to get away from this. So I checked a couple spots, and I just kept thinking about where we left off on a deer's track, and I didn't see him come back down out of that area. And the only thing, I was hesitant because it was dead calm. I just, something told me to go back, and I've had it before. You need to go back up on that mountain. And so it was just like, you have to go up there. Like, and I've done this before where, like, part of me, my instincts tell me, my guts, you have to go up there. Another part of me is like wanting to cry. Like, I don't want to go up there. I feel like it, but you have to go. Like, there's a reason for it, you know?
Right.
So I said, I'll go up there and I'll check, see if I can't find that deer, see if he's around. And if not, maybe I'll head back to PA. It's been 4 or 5 days or whatever. So I had gone up in there, and where we kind of left off of his track there 2 days prior, I had jumped another buck, and he went down a slope, and it wasn't a big track. So he had gone down a slope, and then I ended up going down the other side of the slope. And I went toward like a point in a saddle, excuse me. And I was maybe anticipating the deer that I jumped that went down might work toward that saddle. And maybe if I go down this side, I could work around and catch him. So that was just my plan. It took me about an hour. And so I was coming back along through some clipped out areas. But this is also where, when we pulled that camera, I said, I think maybe this deer, I told Connor, I said, I think he's right up here. And that's where we tracked him to. And I'm pretty much had a good feeling that he was there. I was working my way back to where I jumped that buck. And I looked down at my phone on a Smart Forge app. I said, I'm 120 yards from where I jumped that buck. And I had some decent visibility there, maybe 100, 120 yards. And so I'm looking for a deer, and I looked down the hill, had like one lane between a couple trees while I'm moving along this cliffed out area, and I could see maybe 100, 120 yards. And I said, that looks like a deer laying there, but it looked more like a log or a rock than a deer, but I'm going to bring the rifle up and check. As soon as I bring the gun up, I saw this big G2s. That one's 13.5 inches in his head. I'm like, oh shit, that's that big 7-point. And I'm looking at it at about 120 yards, and I couldn't move left or right at all. I had one lane I could see him. And so there was a spruce about 10 feet in front of me that I need to get to that and get a rest. And I turned my GoPro on, I had it mounted over my shoulder, and I got to that spruce, and there was like a Y in that spruce, and I put my gun right up in that Y, and he was lower in elevation to where I couldn't get high enough with my left arm to shoot down the hill. I come off of that limb, and I dropped down to my knees, and I could just see that he's just laying in his bed looking at me. And the whole time I told myself, John, hurry up, but take your time. Like, that was going through my head. Like, because he could just dumped off that cliff.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, I think it was like, when you're younger, you play tag and you got a home base. That was his home base. Like, you're safe there. Okay. Like, even if someone's coming after you, you're just going to stand.
Was he looking at you or looking away?
No, looking right at me. Saw me. But I felt like that was his home base where he was safe, and you can't touch me here. This is where, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my analogy of what I think was going through his brain. And if he did jump up and run, he's been tracked before, and he knows the game's going to be on, and he don't want that. And he held on to that home base thinking it was going to save him. It was, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm on base. You can't get me. I'm not. So I just seen his head in front of, like, in the center of his brown body, and I just dropped down below his chin and just squeezed one off. And I remember saying, I'm only going to get one shot at this deer, because there was no visibility. So then I even looked at the footage. Like, I brought my gun down after I shot. I didn't even put another round in there. He jumped up out of his bed and went 25 yards. And it kind of looked like the deer that I shot 2 days earlier. Kind of ran the same. Connor and I both looked at it like, dude, we got him. We're like, like I said, we were like the same demeanor, like the same trot, kind of looked a little wobbly. And I know how that played out. So when I shot, I just pulled the gun down to my hip, and I just like looked. And I said, man, let me put another bullet in it. And then I come back up, and I saw him. He ran 25 yards from his bed. I saw him through my scope, and then he went down the hill, And so my boys bought me reinforcements.
There you go.
But he ran down the hill, and I didn't even want to go down there because of what happened. I wasn't excited. I said, I don't even want to know. This is fine. If I die right now, I'll be fine. This is a good enough experience that I don't really want to know, So then I sat there for 25 minutes, I remember. I think I called Bo, or Bo called me because he had just shot a big deer. He shot it and he had fun right then and there. He's like, dude, I said, or no, he said I called him before I shot that buck, and I said, dude, I'm up here where this big deer lives. And then I think I called him. I just shot him. So I went down there, but as soon as he jumped up and ran, I could see his bed in that 6-8 inches of snow. There wasn't a piece of snow in it. It was, brown, dry leaves. That was home base.
Mm-hmm.
So I had gone down after 20 minutes, and I looked through my binoculars at 40 yards. And so I was shooting through it wasn't a wide open, not a limb in a way. Like, there was shit away to some degree. And so I had gone down at 40 yards and put my binoculars up, and I said, that looks like tuft of hair in the snow. I'm like, no, I'm really optimistic, but I was being somewhat pessimistic. Like, no, at 20 yards, I put the binoculars up, and I'm like, dude, that's hair. I said, that's a pretty good sign. So went down to his bed and his hair. I seen his tracks running, and I saw one like the size of a pinhead piece of blood. I'm like, all right, this ain't bad. And I'm still not being my usual optimistic self. I was still like, yeah, maybe I broke his leg. And because the one track, if you break their leg, like in the snow, it kind of goes like this. They're dragging a leg.
Yeah, you called me and you're like, I think I hit him in the leg. I'm like, oh no, this is not good.
You just break a leg, and I'm like, oh. But I think it was I'll tell you, it was his back leg. So I started on this trail, and I followed him up to where I saw him stop. And I'm still not convinced. Maybe I broke a leg, and they can live with 3 legs. But, laying deer, his legs are under him or whatever. Like, I was thinking I was shooting right at his chest, and that, And so I go that 20, 25 yards to where he was standing, and like right before I get to like a high point, I seen spray like that came out of his mouth, nose, blood. And as soon as I saw that, I got to that high point, and he's laying there another 25 yards. I'm like, holy shit, there he is, dude. He's dead right there. Because I wasn't ready for that. I was still being a pessimist, like dumbing it down to where I don't think. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I said, I got that fucker. So that was wild, man.
That's awesome.
That was a wild hunt. Probably one of my better hunts I've had,
How was that drag?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I loved every 6 hours of it.
The hide looked like it.
Yeah.
So was he heavy? Or
he was 176, wasn't he, Johnny?
Okay.
He felt like 276 to me.
Yeah.
He was preseason, though, like October time frame. He was.
Thank God he had 20, 30 pounds off him from the rut, because I probably wouldn't have got him out of there.
Yeah. No, they lose so much. Yeah, it's a freaking awesome buck. Really awesome buck.
That's funny you say that about the having a second person there with you. Like, you do think that it would be more of a negative than a positive, but like in my experience over the last year, deer and turkeys both, I've had times where one of us sees something the other doesn't, or like see some little detail, whether it's a track on the ground or something in the snow or whatever.
I think tracking, I'd rather have a second person.
Yeah, you have.
Honestly, I think still tracking would be.
Yeah, you can pay more attention to what's in front of you and have whoever's in back like looking straight ahead. And
I mean, that buck that I shot Ross on before I did.
Yeah,
because you were following the track.
He went out on a point and he was like off to the left, and I was looking down his track, and Ross was behind me, and like he's like, wow. And so I would
super effective.
I don't know if I would have seen him. So
yeah.
Well, I think it's helpful.
I remember in John and I were turkey hunting in Virginia in April, and we're on one of these really steep ridges, and we went down this big ditch and up the other side, and we were trying. The Tom on the other side was coming down. We were trying to beat him there because he was coming, and John's like got his head down, trying not to fall on his face, going up this bank, and I look up and I see a red head pop up over the edge, look at him, and so it was like, fuck that, went the other way, and he never even knew he was there. He would have just
No,
especially now that I'm older and my eyes aren't as good and my ears are terrible, really bad. I need some young ears and eyes. And I've like now when I'm in a tree archery hunting, I look at my cameraman. I look him right in the eye. I said, "Do you hear anything?" And they like look around, like, "Yes, I do." Does it sound like a squirrel? Or like I'm like interviewing. Does it sound like a squirrel? No, it sounds like a deer. I said, "Where's it at?" He said, "Up there." I'm like, "Okay." Then I started looking. So
Yeah, it's
and
nice to
Connor's
be able to
got good
bounce stuff
eyes.
off
Like
each
my eyes
other.
are going like he could see a track way over there with him. I'm like, "Holy fuck!" 40 yards away, there's a deer over there. I'm like, "All right, bro, give me a second." Like even the track I was on, he's like, "He's down to the left," and I'm like. I was like, and he would tell me, I'm like, I'm like, I started looking over my shoulder. I said, "Where do you go?" Because I can't see. I'm getting old, Things are going downhill now for me. So I'm like, I need a crutch, which is these young guys that you get out there and help me out,
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Connor, what did you do this year?
Oh boy, we started out in New Hampshire, bow hunting. Bow hunted there quite a bit. Actually, hunted till
You start first thing.
Started first thing. I actually saw a giant first night of the season. He was at like 90 yards, stood up from his bed.
Okay.
Hunted him hard. There was like a newish area I haven't really spent much time in, so I just kind of like scouted because I found that spot like the couple days before the season started. So I didn't really know it well, so I just kind of scouted around, would set up. I'd walk around, find signs, set up, and hunt like that. I think I blew this deer out of the area just from my pressure in there. So I hunted until muzzleloader season started. Went into the area this buck was in. I knew he was in there as well as a 10-point that I shot. And my plan for the day was just to go up in the area, sit for an hour or two, and then just still hunt because it's going to be super windy and rainy. That was the forecast at least. And I got up in there for first light right around this big signpost up on this side ridge and just started cracking daylight as I was walking up in there. And I caught some doe going up towards the signpost. They had winded me. So I'm just kind of like standing there just watching them basically. And then I could hear some like loud footsteps, like the thuds and the leaves coming, but I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And up on the hillside where those doe were, I see some movement through all these beach whips and whatnot, and I see his antlers poke up above the beach whips and shit. So I'm like, all right, well, there he is. So
How far away was he?
He's probably 50, 60 yards,
Yeah,
I'd say.
through some stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was for a buck, so like I told myself before the season I'm not going to just get trigger happy and shoot the first rack deer I see because I tend to do that stuff a lot. And what do? I pull up, I see antlers drop right to his shoulder. Boom! I shoot. I'm like sitting there like reloading. Like this better be a decent buck. And I get up there. I take like 2 steps. And I can see he's laying up there dead. So I'm like, hopefully it's not a 2-year-old. I get up there, and sure enough, it was a nice 10-pointer.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, sigh of relief in a way, but did not do what I was going to say I was going to do. But so that was the first one. Then went to Maine after that. That was. Yeah, I only had one day to hunt New Hampshire muzzleloader before I left for Maine for a week, so I was just going to run through all this stuff where I figured these bucks were, and if I blew them out, I blew them out. If I got a shot, I got a shot. So anyway, that was New Hampshire muzzle. Then I went up to Maine for a week or two, messed around up there, came back. Where did I go from there? I think I bow hunted New Hampshire quite a bit more, and then I went on a masked bow hunt, and then I went back to Maine a handful of times to track. Came close up there quite a bit. Caught a buck one day in his bed. I chased him all day. Saw him first thing in the morning. Decent rack. Followed him up and over the top of this mountain, back down the backside. Now it's like 3:30 in the afternoon. It's like getting kind of late. So I'm going down through this cut, and I see this silhouette of a deer laying there probably 30 yards away, but it's just so thick, and all these whipsies laying in. So I'm like, God, it's got to be the buck I'm on. Like I'm trying to drop him down on my knee. I can see him. I can get a shot to him, but I can't see antlers. I'm like, all right, well, I can't just shoot. So he eventually knew something was up, so he stands up from his bed, and I still can't see antlers. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm just kind of like trying to lean around, trying to find an opening. He's looking up my way. I can tell.
It's
so
probably fairly dark too. If you're
yeah, it was. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just kind of wait it out and see what he does, and maybe get a shot. And he turned his head, and I thought I saw bases on his head, but I'm like, I second guessed myself. I should have just shot, but I didn't. And then the wind swirled, and he blew, and he turned out of there, and I just see a huge rack.
Oh,
like, no, that was a kick in the balls there. So
that's
I
the worst.
Chased him for another half hour. He went back up and over the mountain. I came down off him, so I just left him. And then from there, I'm trying to think here, bounced around in Maine some more, bow hunted in New Hampshire quite a bit, and then went to PA. Well, funny story. I drove back to Maine to hunt northern Maine for half a day, and then stayed up northern Maine, then drove from northern Maine to PA the next day in a snowstorm.
How far is that?
It was like 14 hours to his area there.
Christ.
Went off the road once in the process,
Oh
got stuck in the
my God.
ditch, and it was a shit show getting out there. But then I hunted PA, got lucky the first day out there with him, and then came back, hunted New Hampshire with Johnny some, and then went right down to Mass to muzzleloader hunt down there late season. Got lucky down there, and I got one, I think it was the 11th or 10th of December.
Nice. So that was shotgun still, right? But with
it might have been shotgun still. I just used a muzzle, not
yeah.
knowing the laws and all that crap that's going on down there right now. With what changed.
Yeah, better just go on the safe side.
Yeah, exactly. It's just what I've done the last few years.
So you had a good year too.
Yeah, it was a pretty good year. A lot of failures in the mix, but
are you one thing I took away from that was a lot of driving you did.
Oh my.
What do you So one thing I've been doing or haven't been doing, I guess, is driving through the night. Mm-hmm. When I was, how old are you?
27.
27. 20s for sure. Into my 30s, I could go all night, just no problem. Just like I'll leave now, get there in the morning, hunt all day, and like, dude, I cannot do that.
Yeah.
No.
I used to drive I would start at night after dark, like during hunting season, 5, 6 o'clock, and I'd make it to like 2 or 3, and I'd sleep till like 4 till daylight, and get after it. Like I only need a few hours, but I can't.
He wouldn't.
How old are you, Johnny?
40, it's gonna be 47.
Okay. Yeah. I guess
you wouldn't even take a nap. You just go. I don't know how you.
Oh, we would.
You call
Ross
them,
and I.
What'd you call them? Suicide trips.
Suicide trips. We would leave New Hampshire Friday afternoon after work, drive all the way to Ohio. This is on a Friday night. Saturday morning, be in the tree, hunt all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Gets dark in Ohio Sunday night. Get back in the truck and then drive straight to work for Monday morning. We did just do that. One year we went to Ohio 13 different times.
Holy smokes!
It was insane.
That's wild.
Yeah, but I cannot do that anymore. Like I made a rule where it's like I can go. 2 things I figured out. I can go till about 1 or 2 a.m. if I leave during the day. That's it. That's the cutoff. I can't do like 2 to 5. That's like I'm done. Or if I go to sleep and wake up at like 2, then I'm good. Mm-hmm. But if I don't sleep, I can't do that period. And it's like, so anyway, can you do that?
I can do that.
You can do it?
It doesn't
Yeah,
bother
nice.
me. Driving doesn't faze me at all.
Oh, it never. I mean, I don't mind driving, and I've driven straight to South Dakota without stopping and sleeping, just myself. Like
People think you're crazy,
dude. But I can't do it anymore through the night. I just can't do it. So it's an asset that you have at this age to be able to just hammer down and get to where you need to go.
Something about when it gets dark, I just can't.
You get like zoned into the lines. You're like,
all right. It just makes me sleepy. I don't know.
You live in a good area, though, Johnny, for being able to get to a lot of like you said. For a guy that likes to hunt, like, big woods, mountain, ridge country, and public land, like, you're right in the middle of, like, so much stuff in that location. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
spot.
and I actually started to get, like, just 3 years ago. I've been to Ohio, but I'm like, man, I need to focus more on West Virginia. It's right here. So
yeah.
I'm like, man, why am I like? I would do some states that were further away. I said, I'm done. I could do West Virginia, Ohio, PA, and then this last year I did Maryland. So I'm like, this is great. I got all these states right here that are, close by. They have a lot of good public that's mountainous type stuff that I like to hunt. So, and there's deer there. So it's pretty awesome to have.
You got also, like, Kentucky isn't that far either, which is probably another good one to explore at some point. I would say.
And it's just, but I believe any state on public you can find a 140. Like, they're there. Like, I'm not. It's like every state from here. Like, have you been to Indiana? I'm in Indiana now, guys. Have you been out here? Come out here. I'm like, I
Vermont.
Just don't. Then you start learning about a state in an area, and you kind of stick with it. Because it's like, okay, I got a track record here.
Well, the truth is, the more in that country that you can learn and compound information, the better off you're going to be, like, for sure. Like, you just
like, that's what I learned from Johnny being out here when he shot this buck here. Like I was saying earlier, I was thinking big scale. Like, this buck is so far away right now. He's not right here. And Johnny's like, he's right here on top of this ridge, I bet. Yeah. Sure enough, he was.
Yeah.
He's probably gone out of here. I said, I think he's right here. Because I've learned over the years, like, man, them older deer, they stick, everything's right there. Like, everything they need, because they don't want to lose that weight. And they want to, like, they got everything they need. And I believe, like, he was probably another year, he probably wasn't going to be the king of that spot. Like, his teeth were wore down. He said 7 up. He's 7, 8, maybe 9. I don't know, but he had a whole time mark in his neck, his head, his face, scars everywhere. He fought it was a sought after spot that he owned. And
Yeah.
I'll guarantee there'll be a big one there next year.
So was that
You said there was a 10 there too that you killed in
Yeah.
the same area?
Yeah, same area.
Yeah, so who knows
Do you-
what'll be there next.
Do you think was he in like benchy ledgy stuff, or like was there flats there that he could? No.
Not really. It's more just like
Holy
boulders.
crap.
You might find a little spot the size of this table here is for a flat to lay on. That's what he's.
But there was oak up in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
High. Yeah, there's
Some,
a mix of oak.
yeah.
It seemed like the lower stuff produced more. The upper stuff didn't really do a whole lot,
Okay.
but there's enough around there for him to not have to leave that ridge that he was on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like those bucks love those bouldery.
Yeah.
What's
Oh, yeah.
weird is when I went to West Virginia.
Yep.
And I found a deer down there. It was the exact same setup. Identical. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
And my buddy that goes down there, I said, "This is where I'm going." It's like nobody goes up there, and he scouted with a lot of guys over the years, talked to a ton of guys. It's like when you hear them say, as soon as they say that, you can't get up there. No one goes up there. I said, "Boom, there's you just answered your question.
Yeah, there you go.
That's where you have to go. You know,
Yeah.
Besides those bear hunters,
that's where you start.
he says those guys are crazy
And the
down
places you can't go. You know, where people don't want to go.
That's pretty neat.
How did you guys get linked up in the first place? How did that whole thing come about?
I think we've been talking on Instagram, and got his number and just been watching his videos and for years. And I'm like, man, it'd be a good person to hook up with. And we started talking. It's probably 3-4 years now.
I would say so. Like I've
And
been wanting
I
to PA
this
for years
year,
now too.
I actually wanted to do some tracking in the big, like up north. I do down here in PA or wherever, Ohio, when I get snow. And he's like, "Come on up, dude." And I said, "Yeah, but come down." And he always said he wanted to come to PA, and he was up in Maine there that day or so. I was like, and I'm like, he had some tunnel vision. He's like, I'm like, "Dude, come down here. It's been good. I'm telling you, first day, we're gonna have some snow. Come." And he's like, and he threw the town a little bit on Maine. Like he said, he was up there a day or so, and he drove down and he was able. There's more deer here per square mile. Easier to get on a good deer, I think, compared to up there.
Johnny, what do you think well, I'll ask both of you guys, and I've hunted, I don't know exactly where you are in PA, Johnny, but I'm pretty sure I've probably been in pretty close. Because I've hunted a couple different areas in that part of the world. What do you guys think about deer density between like here, north of here, and then like PA? You said there was more deer in PA. I think it seemed to me like there was more deer too. And would you agree with that? Yeah. What do you think? Do you think there's there's a lot more deer, or do you think what was your?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot more. We can handle more deer. I think we have more cuts from what I've seen. Which help. Even this summer, I get worried sometimes. I know back in the 80s and 90s, population was so out of control. There was a browse in the woods from 5 feet down, and everything was spikes, 4s, 6s. You'd see 80 deer, but
even in the mountains, you had that many deer?
Because what it was up in our area, the whole forest, like 1900s, like turn of the century.
Yeah.
The whole landscape was scalped. Like they took every tree.
Yeah. That was like that here too.
Here.
Everything grew back, but you figure the first 20 years, it's all browse. So your population, your deer grows with the forest. But then when the canopy, shades everything, 50 years down the road, it's a little different. That the deer now there's a huge population and now there's no food. So it was wild. Like people, like mountain deer to me, everybody would travel from Pittsburgh or lower cities, Philadelphia, Indiana, and go north to the mountains, they called it. And there was camps, and there was like 100-year leases on little people would go up there and hunt. The government would give. So then, I was even part of that when I was a teenager, that I would see 60, 80 deer, and it'd be lines of deer.
Jeez.
And it'd be little spikes, 4s, 6s. That's all, because they would just shrink because the nutrition wasn't there. But then they did the antler restriction here in PA, 4 points on one side, bear. I don't think that's what it was that helped, but I think
When did they start doing
take
that?
themselves out of a house and home. They died off.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, like there was no food for them by then with that browse line. There was nothing that they died off, but they came back pretty strong, and we're at a point now where we have a good herd, and we're really managing the forest to where they're when they do their cuts, it's all for wildlife, and now even in the summer, I'll go to cuts that there's fresh browse, and even though we got a lot of deer, it's not even touched. So that makes me feel good that
Wow.
there's ample food for these animals, you know. But definitely, I mean, I get. And don't get me wrong, you have your areas, your vast pieces of forest, maybe mature woods with, you know, not much of an understory or plant life that deer aren't there. So they're in like pockets. I mean, deer are everywhere. I heard a biologist say it, and I believe that they are everywhere. But they will concentrate in areas where the food is, cover. So it sometimes seems, and the way hunters are now, reading maps and learning about what's out there about deer, you're going to go to the spots that are attractive to you, that have a lot of habitat diversity, and you're going to see deer. So it almost looks like there's a lot of deer there. But if you take them deer and just stretch it out over the whole landscape, there's not a, we can sustain it, is what I'm saying. But definitely a lot more deer, I think, because of the cuts in our area.
Where do you think the population is like in PA right now compared to like 10 years ago? Or like, do you think it's healthy, stable? You think it's up, down? Like, is it, what do you think?
I think it's in a healthy state, just because, like I said, all the time I spend in the forest, I see a lot of plant life that hasn't been browsed on.
Yep.
You know, August, September, and that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of plant life out there that's not overbrowsed. Basically, it's not overbrowsed.
Yeah.
You know,
Connor asked if you think there's more big bucks there now than there was like 10, 15, 20 years ago.
I'd say in around, we started getting good deer probably around 2000. So when they died off, guys wouldn't even go up and hunt in like the mid to late 90s, and there were very few deer, and there was so when I worked in, or when I lived in Pittsburgh, I traveled north. It was like almost 3 hours to my camp. I bought my camp 4 years ago, but I've been going up there for 30 plus years, and I was working at a butcher. So everybody would travel north to hunt the big woods, and I was working at a butcher shop. I'd skin deer, and guys would bring deer home from up north, and they started bringing in these big, like old gnarly, like 130s and thick. I'm like, where'd that come from? And I that's why I worked at the butcher shop. I was fascinated with deer, and I was like, geez, man. And the guy's like, I'll pay you. I was like, no, just let me be here for free. I'll skin deer for free. That was probably the early 2000s, 2005 or so, that we started getting bigger deer. Then I started going up there more, because everybody quit going up there because there was no deer. But wait, back in 2005, 6, 8, you know, somewhere in those years, that it was vast. I liked the unknown and trying to figure that out. We were just getting into trail cameras, and now they're putting more well roads in, and there's more access than there was then. So it was almost like Sasquatch could be back in the woods and you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? There was that.
Yeah.
And that's what I long to have, is the hunting and trying to, like, the not knowing. It's like you want to unwrap that present. You love having that present tree where you don't know what it is, but you also love unwrap, and then you know.
Yeah.
Then the game's over once you know. So it was neat to go to New Hampshire, where that was kind of, I mean, Connor knew a lot, but it's nice to go to the areas where that's not known, and you still have that vastness that you can figure it all out. But so that's what got me going up there, because it was these big deer that I was seeing at the butcher shop. So it was a learning curve for me. At first, I didn't have no Spark 4s. I didn't have any maps, and I learned a lot hunting up there about those deer, and I studied them. Like, and with me, I've studied my, object, like the deer itself, and I learn from them, not, you pick up things along the way that people maybe would say or tell you, but this is all opinions, and it's like an asshole. Everybody has an opinion. Is it correct? You don't know. So how do you figure it out? It's like I studied the deer enough and followed them and learned them enough that I would come out with the answer, And I looked at this year that, I shot 5 deer and they were all pretty good bucks. And I don't look at it like I'm a trophy hunter or anything like that. I look at it like there's a peak in my hunting career to where you're, at some age, my eyes and ears are going downhill, my health, you're going to get old. But it takes you that 30 years to gain that knowledge. And I think with me, every year, every day, whatever, I'm trying new states. And so I'm able to hunt areas that I have in my back pocket for the previous 20, 30 years that I've been to. But like with this year, to me, it was like a test, and when you go out and you shoot these 5 bucks, like to me, it was like when you harvest that animal, because that's how that's like your test. And it's like I got an A on my test. If you're going out there hunting, who's like when you take a test and you're in school, the teacher can grade you A, B, C, D. So what you learn in the deer woods, there's nobody over here that's going to be like, yes, you're correct, you're wrong. No. You get an A, B, C, D. You know what I'm saying? Like the only thing that it's just their opinion of what you're doing is right or wrong. The only thing to tell you that to me, like what you did right was you sting that animal. Okay, you got an A. So like to me, it was a test, and I'm like, hey, what I've been learning from these animals, because there was no one that told me it was right or wrong. What I went in and what I was asking myself and figuring out for the last 30 years, there was no one to tell me it was right or wrong. But okay, man, I think what I'm doing is correct. Like I had 5 tests this year, and I got a pretty good grade. So I'm like, hey, I'm doing right. But that's what I mean. That's the biggest thing for me. It's like, it's not like being a game hog or I'm still learning myself, and that's how I was able to receive a grade,
Yeah.
So
you see that with older guys who have experience and whatnot. They don't have to go out and scout year round. They don't have to go out and shed hunt all the time to know where these bucks are. They just go back to their same old spots they've been in 20 years ago, and they have a gut instinct on where they need to be. And
we were talking to Troy Pottinger a couple days ago about some of these spots and just that, and I was like, he didn't say it.
He said once you find that genetic pocket, because he's
in the spot, it's just like
once you find those 3, 4, whatever that are really good, hold on to them, and they're gonna keep.
Because I keep finding myself, particularly at home, like for a while, I was like, I had this rule, and I've heard like Bo talk about it too. I was like, I got my core spots, and I need to add 2 more spots every year that are good. Mm-hmm. I'll scout 10 and then add 2 more. And I got to the point where I was like pretty saturated in the region that I was hunting, and I'm like, I just kept going to a spot. I'm like, that's not as good as what I got. And I was like,
trying to find
better. And I'm like, I can't find anything better. And I'm like, well, what am I even looking for at this point? Like I got these, so I kind of like have a handful of spots that's just like they keep producing, and it's like, and now you have the benefit of learning not only about the deer in the region, but in those particular spots, and then about the particular deer. And it's like, now you're really start to like,
and year after year doing that too.
Yeah. And what's weird is like, I am where I am because I've been in the woods for 35 years. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You could learn by reading books and listening to podcasts, but once you get out in the woods and like you said, I'm adding a spot every year or 2 spots, and I got all these other spots in my back pocket. Like, like Bo like went to a spot, and I said, go try this spot. I think because it's just I got enough spots, or I'll go try it. Or it's like, and that's a big help. And out there for 30 years and had all those spots, and
too.
Now you got the Spartan Forge app. You just look it up, and like, man, okay, I ain't been there in a while. I'll take a hike that. Or you don't even need, you don't need cameras there. That was good. Like Troy said a few years ago, I'm to go back to that spot. And the experience, that's what helps. That's the good thing about doing it for that long, is that you have a bunch of spots, basically. That's all it is. You know what I mean? So it's going to take, so if you are a Connor's age, like, you know, you have spots, but to accumulate all those spots across 8-10 states, it's going to take you a while. I mean,
Sure is. Unless you just drive all night every night.
Suicide drives.
So Connor, what was your what do you think the population is in, we'll talk about New Hampshire, I guess, but we can kind of generalize some of, like, you know, Western Maine and maybe some in Vermont. But what do you think the deer population's like right now?
I think it's pretty good overall. I think it's definitely pockety, depending on what you got for habitat in your area and whatnot. 'Cause, like, for example, by my house, there's no acorns back there, and you might walk miles before cut a deer track. But you go to a big oak ridge, you're going to cut deer tracks all over the place right there. I think it's pretty good, though. I mean, I feel like at least in New Hampshire where I'm at, you can probably find a good buck track.
Yeah.
Most ridges if there's good snow that day.
I feel like our population is, like, above average right now for, like, historically, as long as I've been hunting. Although I think there are some areas of the state where maybe the quality isn't where it was 5 or 10 years ago. That's what I'm kind of – I think there's still definitely pockets where it's good. But I've heard a lot of people – it seems like that – I guess what I'm saying is I think there are areas where the pressure's starting to catch up with the age class.
It comes
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I have a couple spots I've hunted over the years, and, like, for a few years, they're just insane, big bucks all over the place.
Yeah.
I shot a couple, some other guys shot some, and then some guys came in and just, like, massacred all the young bucks, and that place is dead for years now. It's finally starting to come back around, but it's just, like, comes and flows.
It seems like you need to get, like, truly big deer. Probably same thing with PA. Well, I don't know. I mean, Johnny, what do you think? When do you think? And I asked Troy this last year about, like, the Pacific Northwest, but what do you think the peak antler, like, age is, or when did bucks have the biggest antlers in your area?
it varies for sure. I mean, I've seen deer at 8-9 years old with their biggest horns, 5, 6. It depends on how rough the winter is, how much nutrition it is, stress. But individuals, just like humans, you know, when are you at your peak performance compared to someone else? I don't think there's on average, I'd say around the 6-year-old.
Okay.
If I had to pick an age.
I think it's a little older here. That's my.
I was gonna say, I've heard you talk about that. I agree. I feel like it's 7, 8, 9 years old that they produce their best racks.
So, so I guess my point with that is that if you're getting more pressure, and there's mature deer, but they're 4, 5, 6-year-olds, great deer, but you're not going to get these things unless you're getting a 7, 8, 9. And so if you tick the pressure up a little bit in some of these areas, the deer just aren't making it there, and they're not getting this big as frequently. And that's what I'm seeing in some areas. It seems like they're just not getting a 7, 8, 9. They're getting killed at 4, 5, 6, which is like, those are great bucks. They're big buck. Don't get me wrong, but I think like around here, for us to get truly big, old, gnarly deer, it's like they need to get to like 7+. Yeah. That's what I feel like.
And even still, some 7+ years don't get to be
150
inch bucks. I mean, they might be 110 inches their whole life.
Yeah.
It's all regional. I mean, 100%. Pockets of what they are for genetics.
Well, even in good genetic pockets, you get like deer. They're just not going to be. Yeah, they're never going to be anything special.
Yeah, like that buck you killed at your farm a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he was.
It was inside his ears, and that was all he was ever going to be.
12 inches wide, and he was 5 or 6.
Was he really?
Yeah, I'll show you some pictures of him. But yeah, just like that was in New York. But yeah, I mean, in an area that produces some really big deer, like genetically has some really special bucks. But just like you're just always going to have that. It doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just some of them just don't have it in them. So what did you think of? Go ahead, Johnny.
A lot of my deer in Pennsylvania where I hunt, they top out at the 30s to 40 class. Just they don't got it. And like you said with Troy, I talked to Troy a fair amount, and he got some big deer. Other parts of PA that get big deer. It's just it's a genetic thing, man. And I've talked to people that are in PA that have big deer, same food, like nothing changed there. It's just that's all we can get, sometimes. But I'll get a rare, like Every once in a while, I'll get something in the 50s to 60 in my area, but that's really rare.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, like the last few years, I've been trying to branch out, trying to find, like that upper class buck.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get them above 135 inches, I feel like. I mean, I feel like.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, like, this is why I was saying, like, when I'm adding these spots and I'm like, I got a handful of spots where I'm, consistently finding 150 plus inch deer. Like, that's, like, I just am. And I'm, like, trying to find the next step above that, and I'm like not finding that. I'm finding that step below it, and I'm like, damn, like okay, like it's like okay, I'm going back there, but it's really hard. But there definitely is, and I know part of it too is like I know of some pockets, but like I know also that like some people that hunt in that, and I'm just not going to do that.
Right.
Like so, it's funny, but like. The woods, the big woods in the mountains actually get pretty small when you like know a lot of people and like you're like, I don't want to go over there because I know he's poking around. I don't want to step on toes. So like you go to areas that you maybe don't know anything about, and most of the time I've found it's not a hit. It's like, wow, this is a good box. Like I might shoot a 130 in there, maybe a 5 or 6 year old, but like really like for me that's not what I'm looking at for anymore.
And then you got to weigh in the effort to get there to those spots, and the drive time is really worth putting in the effort to go hunt.
Yeah, so it's like
if you can hunt one right here or whatever.
100%. Yeah, it's interesting how that is, but I think it takes a kind of a perfect storm of like good habitat, good feed, a good year for all that stuff, and then like bucks that are getting a 5, 6, 7, 8, and then that genetic too, because. So it kind of narrows stuff down to like these pockets. That's what I've found at least.
Not to change the topic, but this year in particular, it seemed like the first week and a half of November was insane for big bucks being shot in New Hampshire. Rack-wise, there's some hammers killed that first week. It seemed like.
I will say, I don't know what Johnny you saw this year for antlers in PA, but like I think, seemed like New England had some of the biggest racks, like the biggest jumps. It was a good antler growing year, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it seemed like it's all over the place. Is that case? Maine, New Hampshire, maybe not.
I think so. Well, who knows? Was it an average year, would you say, for antler growth, Johnny? I know that's kind of a tough question because
I'd say just run of the mill, nothing. Yeah, nothing extraordinary. I've heard, and it makes sense. We had some drought here, but it wasn't until like August, September. Yeah, and I heard that someone said, I don't know, the taxidermist even said that on drought years, they get better antlers because there's not as much moisture in their species of plants that they're feeding on. So they're not getting a bunch of water, getting a lot of nutrition.
Interesting.
Which can make sense, but there's so many variables to antlers. There's so much. The deer stress is a big thing. Age, genetics, food, a lot comes into play, with that. So it's hard to really say.
I agree. What did you think of PA, Connor?
PA was a lot of fun. There's a lot of guys, though. I was shocked by that. Granted, it was the first weekend of rifle season there, but I was driving up in this road to cut a track that first morning there, and like I pulled over. I don't know how many times to let trucks go by me because they're just flying up in this national forest road, and there's a pile of deer tracks crossing it. But like I was saying on Bo's podcast there, how tiny the tracks were out there. I couldn't find a track that I'm used to seeing around here. Where I'm like, oh, that's an area.
Yeah.
That might be a buck, it might be a doe, and hope for the best, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of deer, just does everywhere. I think I saw like a dozen doe that half day was in the woods there the first day. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, my assessment. So I've been to PA 3 times. I think I've been there. Went there for the Public Land Challenge. I hunted for like 2 days, but scouted a lot. I went back. It was either in August or September to that same region and scouted and ran some cameras for a year. And then this past year I went out and hunted with Shirk for like 3 or 4 days. And it seems like in general there's more deer. I would say maybe even double the deer. I don't know what you think, Johnny, but I would say there's like maybe double or more the deer than in New England. That's what I felt like.
I'd say probably
I felt
double.
like the habitat was like fairly similar. In general, honestly, like there was parts in PA where like, if you told me I was in New Hampshire, I'd be like, yeah, okay, like it's a lot of the same stuff. I think that the thing that I saw was like PA has plenty of topography, but it's like there's less micro topography in PA. It's like big, long, like you could sit in a ridge and look down and see 200-300 yards, and it's like kind of like not flat. It's not flat. It's just the grade. It's like a graded. It's like a putting green versus like a jumbled up, like I don't know, like something that someone just did some dozer work and it's a mess. Like that's what I saw. I don't know what you think, Johnny, but it seems like the topography large scale is the same, but like that micro topography and the knobby stuff in New England is a little bit different. So to the point where you can't see quite as far. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what's weird about Pennsylvania, we got a lot of diversity as far as we have ag, we have the area I am is the plateaus of the Allegheny National Forest, a lot of flat land, but there's a lot of places like east out with guys, it's 1,000, 2,000 feet, just up, back down, just a big mountain going up.
Oh yeah.
Through with ag, there's a lot of different, like if you take like a Midwestern state like Iowa or something, it's like it's all pretty similar. You have some, flat areas, then you get into ranges and hills, but yeah, there's plateaus, there's a lot of different areas. But I mean, you're right as far as like micro terrain. Like I know on the Spartan Forge app, there was like even with Connor, I think he had his Onyx app on. I feel like it's not as detailed to where I was like, there's like a 20, 30 foot elevation change down and a dip back up, and I'm like, how come? And it wasn't really on
right.
Yeah, you can't really see it.
Mapping app. I was kind of lost a little bit, but when you get the snow on the trees, everything looks different, But yeah, there was a lot more terrain within the terrain, I think, up there.
That's perfect terrain within the terrain. That's what I saw. I hunted a spot where, like, it was a big ridge this year in PA, and it was like I could see. It was really mature timber, but I could see like 150, 200 yards up the ridge, and then I could see like 200 yards down the ridge. And there's areas in New Hampshire and Maine and Vermont where you can see that far down, but you can't see it everywhere. You can see like a hole, but then there's like this knob or a boulder, or like this really deep cut or like whatever. And I think that was the biggest thing that I noticed. And it was like, I don't know really what difference that makes. I think it's probably harder for tracking, honestly, where you're at, because those deer can see you coming from so far away where I don't feel like they can here, if that makes sense. It's tougher for them.
That's what I was thinking about, that because I haven't hunted PA at all, but when I think of PA, I think of like more monotonous and, like you were saying, just less like micro stuff. So,
and like, I'm not saying there's not topography and steep shit. There definitely is. Like, it's for sure there is, but it's just like everything's just like flatter. Like it looked like a open, flat, gradual in the change in the micro topography, not the gradual. But yeah,
I was thinking about, like, wondering from your perspective, having, like, we have a lot of oak and hemlock and stuff here mostly, if there's any difference in the way the deer move about the woods there. If it's, when I think of it being more open hardwoods, but it sounds like you're saying that might not be the case. But I was just curious if you noticed anything different about.
I was only out there for a day or so, but it seemed like around like the thicker woods, not really like super thick, like the beech whips and stuff like that. You get around that stuff. That's where most of the deer tracks, where they're kind of hugging that little bit of cover that was in those woods, in amongst the mature, wide open stuff. The deer always kind of seem to be close to that cover of some sort. I mean, it may not be a wall of cover, but just something for them to be into.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some of that. The cutting out there seems a little bit different as far as spraying it.
Oh yeah.
A lot more like manicured cuts, I feel like, than around here. Some of the stuff that I hunt is just like a mess, just slash and just crap laid over.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like tops everywhere and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. We had Kenny. Do you know Kenny? You must know Kenny.
Kenny.
Bo's buddy.
Kenny Kane.
Kenny Kane.
Yeah, I know Kenny Kane. I know. I know him real good.
He was, we had him on, and he was talking about how they spray cuts, and I was like, what is that? I just have never heard of that. Like, what do they do what? Like, yeah, it seems like your forestry game down there is like advanced compared to ours.
More
that's
deer,
probably good.
think with more deer, they maybe have to be. I just my opinion.
Yeah.
Because to
No, I
protect the
think you're right.
forest, they got to be conscious of what they're doing because they're just going to gobble it all up.
Right. Yeah. Right.
What's that? They work. I think Kenny told me the foresters and the biologists work together. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here it's like you get like chest deep skitter ruts and tops that are over your head. It's an absolute mess in a lot of spots when they get done with it.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I guess the other thing I noticed is it seems like the softwood in PA is way more pocketed, where up here the softwood's like just more dispersed throughout, like everywhere. Like there's a lot more of it, like through. Yeah, it seems like out under you there's a lot in the bottoms, like the creek bottoms have a lot of hemlock in them.
Yeah.
Where it's here they seem most of the time it's higher. I mean it's everywhere, but yeah. But once again, I feel like that allows you to get around here easier without bumping deer.
Yeah.
And probably seeing deer too. Like I think that's part of the reason why you see so many deer in PA, because you can see so far. You know, like you don't have that wall of spruce or whatever, and you don't have that like boulder and like that knob to block it. So maybe the perception, maybe there isn't that many more deer. Maybe you just can see more. I don't know.
I'd say there's probably double. I'd say there's twice as many deer. Easy. Yeah. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Like when Connor went up there, he was in a spot that there was oaks and it was just on that south slope and they only produce every 6-7 years. So there was a concentration of deer there and it was kind of same when him and I hunted his area. There were some oaks. So it looked like a lot of deer. But like I said, if you stretch it out over the whole landscape, like there's not that many, but being hunted, so we can read maps and terrain and know that the mast is there. We're going to be in the spots, but where he hunted and killed his deer to where I hunted and killed my deer, the acorns brought him in to some degree, some thermal cover. I'd say we got twice as many deer. That's a good, because we were basically two pretty good hunters that know their area and picking out a good spot for early December, PA, New Hampshire, and being in both of them spots, I'd say I have twice as, because he said 12 doe, we probably have twice as many deer, I'd say. But we can sustain those, we can, accommodate twice as many deer because of the forest, the cuts and stuff.
The other thing, I didn't see it so much in the spot I hunted this year, but the first 2 years, I felt like I saw more big buck sign in PA too. I don't know if you saw that or what year. You didn't see a whole lot, yeah. And I don't know what you saw, Johnny, if you saw much big buck sign where you're at in New Hampshire, but it seemed like I was like, oh man, I mean, I saw some mega rubs, like big rub lines on trees, like actually beech too, which I don't see a ton of rubs on beech around here. I mean, sometimes, but
no, mostly scrapes if you see anything.
Yeah, but I was surprised at that, and I don't know if that's just the higher deer density or something like that, maybe more competition. I don't know what it is, but that's one thing that struck me.
Yeah.
So, are you guys gonna do the same thing again next year, as far as hunt PA and hunt New Hampshire? You think?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go up. Yeah. But yeah. I mean. I think we're going to try to do some hunting together this spring, scouting, so we can kind of zone in. I got a couple other states that I think we can kill some good deer in. So
nice.
I'm going to check that out. So just keep grinding.
That's right. Are you at ATA?
Yeah.
Okay. I gotcha. I figured. I just wasn't sure if you were there or not.
It was kind of slow. They opened it up to consumers this year, and it was kind of, I thought there'd be more people, and it wasn't that great of a show. I heard it's going downhill to some degree. I don't know. It's the first time here for me at ATA.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never been there. But I heard it was, well, I think them opening consumers was trying to revive it a little bit, but
Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah.
it just didn't do it for them.
The beers are cold every night. The beers are cold every night.
There you go.
We put some late nights in, late good shifts in.
Yeah, there you go. Do you turkey that much, Johnny?
No, I give up on it. I might go or stay or something. That's when I got to make money. When I was younger, I was big into it. I was really big into it when I was young. I was ate up with it, probably up through my early mid-20s, and then spring turkey. I kind of just everything's deer right now. Or
Gotcha.
that's where I'm at.
So what are your heavy months for work then? Is it just like in the spring till hunting season, pretty much, as soon as everything's dry?
Yeah, March up through September.
Gotcha.
Then I shut her down. Yeah, whether I made enough money or not, I'm done.
Yeah, he'll walk. If he's running out of gas money, he'll walk. Nice.
It's not like when when you have a bad winter for a deer, like it is what it is, man. Like if you got deer got a rough winter and they got mild winters, like it is what it is. You're gonna survive, right? Like if you got 2 foot snow with a layer of ice on top for 2 months, or if you don't get any snow, it's like you're still living. You take the good with the bad. Sometimes you got deep pockets, and sometimes you don't got anything in them. So it is what it is.
That's sweet. What do you got planned, Connor? Do you have any? I mean, it just ended, but do you have anything different planned for next year? Do you have in mind?
Yeah, I should be drawing Iowa.
Oh, nice. When are you gonna go?
Late October, early November, I'm guessing.
So you're gonna buy.
What zone you get, Connor? Do you have a zone or what? You don't know yet?
Zone 5 if I get drawn.
Oh, zone 5. I got spots for you, dude. You only need a day or two. You could tag out.
I just got back from Zone 5 last week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I drew a late muzzy tag.
How'd it go?
It went really good.
Went all right.
Yeah, I killed a big one.
Seriously?
Shot a fucking one.
What's that?
Killed a
You
180.
killed a big one?
Yeah, I killed a real big one. Yeah.
Went okay.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Is it top secret? It's top secret?
It's not secret. I just haven't really posted anything about it. But yeah, I killed like a
Just a booner. No
I
big deal.
killed a 180-inch 5x5 with split twos. Yeah, with a
Whoa,
muzzy.
was that on public
Yeah.
or private?
It wasn't public though. It was
like
on
that
private,
thing if
but
it was
it was
bigger.
I had
Yeah.
access to like a bunch of different little. I mean, they're pretty small farm. Honestly, like when you look at those places, they're like you wouldn't think much of them, but they just like it's like a little creek bottom with like some beans next to in like the middle of cattle country with like very little habitat, but like just this little couple patches of cover and like some pretty big deer in that stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
pretty
good
good.
deer. That's awesome. Yeah, I should be getting pulled next year, Zone 5 black powder.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Yeah, I've shot a few deer out there in the past. Before it was popular, I almost went out of 4 out of 5 years, I went out there black powder hunting 4 out of 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't. Then I started talking about it, and it just changed how people would start putting in for that late season. And now it takes me 3 years to go out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if I was to go to Iowa, Connor, like with a bow tag, I wouldn't go till almost Thanksgiving. Like, yeah, the 20 to 28th, because a lot of guys are out of the woods. No, Bo was out there this year, the first or second week, and he shot a big deer. I'm not, that's right. That's when stuff's happening. But to get these bucks traveling, you're still stretched from the gun season, and all the guys shot one big one out there, I think, one year on the 28th or 29th of November. And I talked to the farmer. He said, there's a parking spot right there. He said, there's no one's been here the first 2 weeks of November. The car's down there every day. Wouldn't see a deer out in the fields. Fast forward 2 weeks, nobody's there. They come back out. You know what I mean? So people are hesitant to go out that time, because it seems late. You feel like you're missing a rut. But and this is before EHD. If you got a good healthy population of deer, which back in the day there was it can sustain so many deer, like probably 100 deer per square mile. It's ridiculous. And them deer will get them first does there in the peak around the 14th, 15th, and they're on a hoof. They'll get, what's close to home, then they're going to start traveling. And I've seen some big deer all the way up into December, like late November. But I mean, the whole month of November is good. But a lot of people don't want to skip that rut, that peak rut time frame, pre-rut, peak rut.
Yeah, and it's tough, like you said, Connor. Like you want to be back here for that's like primo stuff right here back home. So yeah.
Yeah. You see people that they're like, they get on some really good track and they're like, oh, I got to go to Maine tomorrow, so I got to leave it. And when they could just go back and get it. But if you have a trip plan, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll have Iowa and then probably Montana too. So.
Oh, no shit. How many points do you have for Iowa?
6.
Okay, so you'll draw. Okay. You should draw with 6. I would. I can't imagine you won't with 6. And what are you doing in Montana?
Rifle hunting.
Do you know Oh, really?
Kind of western area, western.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that out. Me and a buddy are gonna go out there and just give it a hell, I guess. So I think they open mid-November.
When are you going to Montana?
Probably mid-November, I'm guessing.
I went out there and rifle hunted, did some tracking up in Montana, Swan Valley. That was probably.
Oh, that's funny. It says Swan
Valley. Maybe 20 years ago, and that was back in the days when, like you said, like I remember the snow melted, and I said, man, I need to be in. It was back in the day where, like you said, we could drive all like Connor, and I'm like,
yeah.
I remember jumping in my vehicle and driving. Out of 28 hours, I drove 24 hours straight to get to Ohio and bow hunt. You know what I mean? But it didn't faze me then. Now I can't do that stuff. But yeah, I remember that. There's some good hunting. A buddy of mine that really nobody knows would learn tracking from, lived on Nantucket Island. He had a landscaping business, and this is going back 15 years. He's getting older.
Did you say you learned tracking on Nantucket Island, or he's from Nantucket Island?
He lived on Nantucket Island, but he had a landscaping there. Then he would go to Maine, Ontario.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, well, I was like, holy crap.
And I got to know this guy. He hunted like with the Benoits and that. He knew him and run into him. That's where I learned tracking from. He come down to PA one time and. Yeah, I went with him one time in the woods. I learned a lot from him. That helped out. When I was young, I used to just chase deer. I thought I didn't, before that, I didn't know when to stop, when to go fast, what to look for. And I was in good shape, and I figured, which is true. I think if I kept running them.
It is true. You can run them down. I mean, not everyone, but sometimes you can. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't have much luck. I think I didn't have much luck because I didn't have the confidence. Confidence is key in anything you do, and having experience, success, helps with your confidence.
Oh, yeah. Big time. So Montana, that'll be cool.
Yeah, that'll be cool to just like learn a different thing and try your hand at it. Yeah.
Are you gonna try track? Is that your? Yeah. Yeah, you're good. I don't know. He's running to do something. Yeah, I'm wondering. That'll be. The only thing I'd say is you may want to set up a gun to shoot a little further, just to have, not like just bring 2 guns is what I'm saying, like, because you may get into a situation where even in that, like, there's a lot of cuts and stuff, and the timber, there's really thick stuff, but there's like a lot of stuff where it's thick, but you can see on the other like mountainside, you can we're like, that doesn't happen here. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Well, it just depends. If you're on snow and tracking one, you should be fine. But if you're still hunting through a big area, you may be like, oh shit. I mean, you can see them. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they definitely have grizzlies in western Montana. I saw one.
Did you?
Yep.
Were you out there bow hunting?
Yep. I saw one. But I feel like I don't know that area you're thinking generally has as many as like. I mean, there's probably some, but I don't think there's some areas that are like bad with them, like really bad. Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to Iowa in probably December for the late season, and
Next year.
Yes, in zone 2, and I had no idea there were mountain lions there.
In Iowa?
Yeah.
Really?
The guys,
yeah, there are.
Yeah, the guy. It was like half mile away from the property. Like sent us trail camera picture. There were two different lions on this one camera.
There's not like a ton of them, but there's definitely lions in Iowa.
Yeah, they said they're usually like young males that get pushed out, and they're just.
What's that?
Would you say there's a lot of in Iowa?
Well, there's not a lot, but there's lions in Iowa.
Oh,
now.
Yeah.
Not like a ton, but there's definitely some there.
I had taken a trip when I graduated high school out to Nebraska to hunt late season, and there was guy that was guiding us had a couple properties, and one of them was like this river bottom, and he had 3 different lions that all had radio collars on them.
Jeez. Yeah.
And they were like together, which is super weird because they usually are solitary, but that was a awful feeling going through. I'm like, I have a muzzleloader with one shot, and there's 3 lions traveling together. So
they're out there. They were I hunted in South Dakota too. They were out there too, and they're in Alberta. They're like like Iowa West. There's lions out there. That's another thing we were talking to like Troy about is like those western whitetails are a little different because they get hunted by freaking lions. And wolves, and like it's just like that's a different thing that we don't deal with around in the East.
Yeah, they got to be on their A game all day, every day to survive.
Yeah.
There's no letting the guard down at all.
No, they get eaten. They get eaten fast. Even in Canada, so like in general where I hunt in Canada, there isn't lions or wolves. Like not a lot of them, but I feel like the population that it's so ingrained in the DNA because right outside that pocket there is that those deer there even act like
sketchy.
Yeah, like they're just like it's like they're like relaxed deer, but like the littlest tiny thing that's off, and they're like lock up. They just like they don't let you can't get away with it. So it's pretty interesting. I think it's a predator thing. I think that's the big thing is probably just like a highly pressured public land deer. Like same thing in the East, like.
Yeah, and you know what? Like,
have to be.
I was fortunate enough to track deer in Ohio once, twice, because of snow. And I said, "Oh, these things don't get tracked. This should be an easier." No, it wasn't. They did the same. So I jumped one and I followed him, and then another one above me. He jumped up. He just saw me coming across the field, and he ran up over this point down the other side, and he went across the drain up to another hillside, and he went on that other hillside, and I could see a fairly good ways, 100 or so yards, and I'm walking along that hillside, and there was just above me was like a finger ridge, so I was down below it, elevation-wise, 20, 30 feet below it, going, and so there's that finger ridge above me, and then there was a big bowl and another finger ridge, maybe 400 yards away. So I'm going along below that finger ridge, and then I see his tracks kind of going up that 20 to 40 foot elevation to that finger ridge. And like as he's going up, I'm almost cresting the top where I could see that big bowl, and I hear it. So he went up. And he almost hit that finger ridge, and then his track was dropping back down, and through the hole on the other finger ridge, I hear a snort over there. And I've learned this when I'm tracking. I hear a snort pretty much it's your deer. Even though like you're tracking them this way and there's a snort, well, it's a different deer. So like he kind of went up almost to that finger ridge and paralleled it, and the track was going back down. And then, like I said, I heard that snort way off 300 yards. So that's another deer. But he kind of went along that finger ridge, dropped down. He laid down and he watched his back trail. You know what I mean? He watched me just back along the hillside, that 120 yards, saw me coming. So he went up over that finger ridge, and that bull was over there snorting. I think whether they're tracked, and maybe coyotes later season track them. Predators are tracking. That's probably their main predator down there beside the human. But it's like I thought, I'm like, yeah, these things don't get tracked down. They're just gonna be pretty easy, It wasn't. It was like textbook. Like I'm like, you mf'er, I can't. He set me up perfect.
I feel like the biggest issue with tracking in your part of the world, Johnny, is just like there's just too many deer.
Yeah,
deer.
yeah.
It's like you can't.
And like you said, they're not as big.
No, so you can't. I mean,
I'm gonna pat myself on the back a lot that you take a track that you're like, I think it's a buck, and then you see the time marks where he's feeding, or you get the same one. You feel good about it because you could be on a big doe, and I went with the guys, and I'm like, I'm not a know-it-all. I get out, I'm like, that might be a doe. Like I'm gonna say it, like especially when you're with someone, they think you're gonna tell you black and white. Everything. A lot of people look at you like I was like, I don't know. What do you think? And they look at me with these big eyes, like, I don't know. If you don't know, how am I supposed to know? I said, well, what do you think? Because I don't know if it's a buck or a doe.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, when there's not, it seems like there's still deer here that are big antlered, older deer that don't have huge tracks. And I see some of them, it's like,
yeah.
Ugh.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
A lot of people just look at him and like, nah, I'll go look for something bigger because they think that it's directly correlated to antler size, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the deer you killed last year, what did he weigh? 150 pounds, maybe?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Did we weigh him?
I don't think you did, but he was not. It was that one right there, right over the light.
The darker.
Yeah, he was not big.
No, he wasn't big at all. He was both. Yeah. He was like that sleeker ridge runner. He had a decent track though. I stayed with. I didn't have to track him that long, but I stayed with it enough that it was like okay, like it wasn't like it was bigger than like probably a buck that Johnny would see in PA. I'll say, but it wasn't like a mega track where it was like a no brainer.
I see that a lot in mass, and they just have just your standard buck track. It's nothing crazy, but I think that monster track on its head too.
Yeah, so it's like, do you flip the coin or do you I don't know. You never.
Yeah, recently I just been gambling very well. Like some full corner. Great.
Yeah.
You get lucky and it's a huge rack, then.
Well, even we were looking at some of the feet, and I don't think they're quite as big, but like the deer I shot in Iowa, I assume it was him. But the reason I started focusing on the spot I was in because we were seeing a big track in there, and it looked like, it was in like mud, so it's a little. I feel like snow and mud. It's like just a different judging. You can't look at a track in the snow and the track in the mud and like they just look different. Like they're just the way they imprint and whatnot. But it looked like a really big track to me, and it was a big deer. It was like one of the biggest deer I've ever killed. Antler and like body, it was a huge deer. But like his track, when you like grab his hoof and look at it, wasn't anything like, it was like, I don't know, it's like a average mature buck track. But I bet you that thing was like, it was late December, right? But I bet you that thing was like 240 pounds in like late October. It was a huge, big, long, tall, like it's just a huge deer, big head. So I don't know. It's like, how much can you go on that? I don't know. Obviously, like a huge track is probably a big deer, but like, at the same time, I just think a lot of guys are just like probably walking over tracks. It's like, no, it's a pretty damn good buck. Like, you know what I mean?
Same thing people talk about bucks going around stuff. Like in mass this year, for example, I was in this area. I saw a lot of big time marks in this feeding area with this small buck tracks. Like, if I find a small buck track around here, so I take it, and hopefully it's this big one in here. Well, I found this smaller buck track. Sure, I took it, and he's going down through all this shit, and he's going underneath fallen log. Like, it's probably a 4-pointer or something that I'm following. He jumps up 20 yards in front of me, 630-inch 8-point. He's going through all this nasty shit.
Yeah.
Didn't even bump snow off the branches and whatnot. Just like he's just maneuvering through this stuff. So
yeah, it's like.
He knows what he's on his head, I guess.
Well, and the thing that drives me crazy is, I don't know if it was this year, but it's not every track I take. Honestly, you'll be going, you're like, that's him. That's a good track, good stagger, like everything. It's like that's a good buck, and then like you're following it, and then all of a sudden like you're looking at the track, and you're like. What the what even what? It looks like a doe track. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, what am I like? I swear, like 200 yards back, and I'm like sitting there, and then I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'll just keep following. And then like 300 yards later, like, oh yeah, no, it looks big again. You're
Yeah,
like,
I do
know,
the same.
it's so
I
weird.
do the same thing. I'm like, what am I following? This don't even look right. I was, yeah. And
Same
then,
thing.
Like you go a couple more 100 yards. Oh yeah, that's him. Look at that. You know.
Yeah.
But I think you need to follow him a while to measure, out like the cipher. Like, yeah, that's him. It might
it's
look
just
small
funny.
for some reason, whether it's weird, But I've done really well. And people ask me what size, and I don't know, but you've looked at tracks enough. I'm like, yeah, I think that's the one we need to be on.
I think it can't be a fawn track, right? Like you can tell it can't be like a fawn track, but like, all right, I think that's a decent track, right? Like you look at it, like, okay. But then I think when you follow it, like the behavior, the stride, the stagger, like all that stuff, I think is more important than the actual like size of in my opinion, when I'm following these deer, because like, unless you're in like, there's just like certain pockets, obviously, where like there's this huge hoof deer, but like most of like the country, that's not the case. Like they're not, even in Alberta, those deer are huge, but their hoofs aren't that big either. So like, I think unless you're in one of those regions where you like yeah, there's huge hoof deer, like you just almost gotta like just read the track and like the behavior of the your animal you're following. But like, yeah,
I think sometimes too you can kind of read like what they're going through to kind of get a gauge on how old they are. It's a mature deer.
Yeah.
If he's hugging on a stick shift, he's going down
Mm-hmm.
a swamp where nothing's even in. And it's like, well, he's smart. He knows something.
Yeah.
Other deer's out there hanging up in the open hardwoods.
Yeah, the best is when you see the bottom of those beams in the snow in the feeding. That's my favorite.
Yeah. Hey, and one thing, like I told people back here after I come back from my trip up in New Hampshire, and I remember going into Connor's house, and he has a few mounts on a wall, and I said, man, I don't know if your taxidermist is using the right form. I said, like the heads aren't in proportion with the body. I said, they look pretty big. Something's not right. And I'm used to looking at all my He's like, no, I got to really like one of the best taxidermists, but they get to a certain age and their heads get big. I call it like a donkey head, like a big head, right? So like even when I shed deer, I told people like back home, I said, wait till you hold the horns, because you look at the head, and the head's so big, so the rack doesn't look as big. And then when you hold it, they're like, holy shit, this thing's big. But I'll send you a picture. I had got the bottom jawbone out of that deer. I got a bottom jawbone out of a 5, which I'm assuming a 5-year-old West Virginia deer and a 5-year-old Ohio deer. And the jawbone, like where the front teeth are here, and then it goes up into the skull.
Yep.
I'll send you the picture, and it's that deer's bone where it hooks up into the skull. The top of it is at least an inch and a half taller than the other 2 deer. It looks like a goat and a donkey. Like it's like, I'm like, yeah, like look, that come out of a deer skull. Like the head, like you could just, it's huge. I mean, like there's no comparison of a 5-year-old Ohio deer, which is a healthy. That deer was probably 170 or so pounds on field dressed in October. When you know what I mean, like little 200 on the hoof, I'd say. Big deer, nonetheless. But yeah, that was pretty wild. He got a big skull plate. It's huge, it's thick, but and so I drug all the hide off him, and my taxidermist, like I skinned his face out of Connor's, and he's like, I don't know if I could use this. You drug so much hair off him. So if anybody out there listening, you guys, I know Connor, I asked him, I need a cape for my deer. And like my taxidermist said, I got a PA cape. I'm like, no, I need I need something from New England. Like so if you guys know of, or if anybody listening, I'll buy a cape. I need a cape because I want like a New England cape. I mean, I'm going to ask him if he could still use it. Even if I took a lot of hair off it, I'd be like, dude, that's like, they want it to look pretty. Like,
Yeah.
She
Yeah, I
wouldn't want
gotcha.
to mount it with the hair
Is
pulled
it-
out of her. But really,
Is it both sides that it's like that, or just one side?
I tried keeping it to one side, so it's.
Well, maybe you can do like a hard turn into that side, so like it's kind of covered. Then the good side. I
I
don't know.
thought, yeah, or maybe like a straight on where it's like facing away from the wall, you can't see it.
Yeah.
Maybe he
Yeah.
can. I'm going to ask him if he could still use it, but I think just in general, he wants his mounts to look pretty, and he mounts something like that, and it's all like, you know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah, I
that's
gotcha.
his. I don't want to use this, but I'll still. But I mean, if someone has a New England cape, I'll buy it. I'd rather.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think if I know anybody. I mean, it's gotta be. So not all. I'll say though, not all of them, Johnny and Connor. You probably agree. Have that. It seems like I run across two different genetic looking deer body type. I have like this sleek, athletic looking deer that probably more resemble your PA deer, your
It
bucks.
probably more resembles me, sleek and athletic.
Yeah, exactly. Just like you, not like Connor. And then we have like this thing, like and there's like I see both. So not all of them are like that, but when you get the ones that are like this, the big old like block-headed, like big, tall New England bucks, they're big animals, dude. They're like, man, and they may not weigh like 250 pounds, but like just like you said, the heads, they're just huge freaking heads and deep, like, yeah.
The leg bones too. I've seen all the big ones I've ever seen, like the knuckles, but that where their foot are always just like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are usually the ones that have the big track. It's like those big skeletal animals. Yep, no doubt. Like that one up there in the corner was just like that too.
Yeah, he was like 210 or 2 something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, in late November.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge deer.
He did.
I did the day before.
Then you saw the one up the sheds up there, didn't you?
Yeah, it was the next day. Yeah, that was
Hey,
crazy.
can you guys see me, hear me still?
We can see your hand pretty good.
Okay, something was going to shut off or something. I don't know.
Oh,
No, we're good.
we don't need
We're
that.
good. We're good. My guy keeps feeding me beer. Adrian keeps feeding me beer. I got 3
I
of them.
thought I
lined
saw
up
one
here. I
slide
ain't
out of the
drinking.
corner a
Yeah.
few minutes ago and come back in.
They had a Pacers game down here, so it's like everybody outside partying because where they play basketball is right here. It's party night here.
well, that's pretty cool. Johnny won't keep you too long, I guess. Once again, congrats on that's a crazy season. Like I don't even know what to say about that. That's pretty awesome. Like it's a
Yeah,
hell
it
of a
was totally
season.
awesome. Yep, it was awesome. And I got so what's neat is that we got Connor filmed me tracking that deer and missing a deer, and I have my GoPro footage when I killed him. And I even
you do?
I'm kicking myself because I got shooting, it got me walking it up to the deer, but I didn't set my GoPro up and like sit in front of the deer and talk about it. Like, and then the next day we skinned it. We don't know footage of that, like talking shit. Like, I'm like, what are you thinking? But anyways, I'm gonna put a film out. My guy's working on it, which is Connor kind of PA, and then me up in New Hampshire. It's gonna be like a 2-part film, and then I got PA. When I left, it's gonna be another film. So keep an eye out for it on YouTube. That when I come back from New Hampshire, I shot a deer in PA, and then I'm gonna also put the film out from West Virginia when I kept blowing through primers, shooting at that big wide buck,
Love it.
and then
Yeah, I'm
unloading,
excited to
like,
see that stuff.
blowing the ball out and with a bullet and reloading it because I think that makes for good film also. So yeah, I got a few more. I'm gonna try to get out later here this month.
This
And
month.
yeah,
And is your YouTube channel just your name, Johnny?
yeah, the Johnny Stewart. Yep.
The Johnny Stewart,
The-
that's right.
I probably got. I think I put 3 out. I got my Ohio and my New Hampshire, or no, my North Dakota one out, and I got so last year I had one guy film me all year, and he made like a bloopers, like a funny thing. And I think Bo said that's my favorite one, just dumb shit in the tree. You know what I mean? Like joking around. So I got them 3 out, and then like I said, I'm gonna put 3 more out. I think I want to put more shed hunting, like if Connor comes down or if I come up there, just keep putting some content out for people. A lot of people enjoy, like most people are happy with what I'm putting out. So
Well, if you come shed hunt, you come here and we'll do another one in person.
oh hell yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I will.
Did you what did you
Was all your
film a lot
stuff
of your
on-
stuff, Connor, this year? Everything or cool, nice. All right. Yep. Probably next year. Yeah. Cool. And that's Northwoods Whitetails for the guys that want to check out Connor's stuff. And yeah, well, guys, that was good. I'm glad to get you guys on. I was following the whole season and like, damn, these guys are killing it. Got to get them both on to talk about it. So I'm glad you could make the trip, Connor. And yeah, thanks, Johnny, for coming on.
Yeah, man, it was fun. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. You got anything else you want to add, Connor? Cool. Yeah, no, thanks for coming down. It's awesome to have people in person and Johnny virtually. And I'm surprised, honestly, I'm surprised it went so well with the tech on your end.
Don't say it now. Not done yet.
Everything sounds good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't start off very hot. I was like, is this thing on? Can you see me?
No, it was pretty successful. So good deal. All right, guys, thanks for listening, watching, and we'll see you on the next one.